Yo! Hello. Oh dear, what's happened? What have you done? Why have you sold? What's happening? So here we are. Feels like 2017 vibes again, in a way, kind of ish. I will come to the chat. If you're new, like always, or if you're bloody just a returning viewer, hello. We're on a second week of full live streams. Let's go. Like the video, or like the live stream, more to the point. If you're watching the replay, also like and comment. And let's find where we go from here. There's a poll in the chat feed as well. Do you think we're going to go lower or higher? And let me know where you're from. Let me know what the weather's like. I'd like to see where people are watching from. It's really, really interesting. But let's talk about the big little elephant, the big elephant in the room, which is why the market has plunged this morning. It's gone a bit wild, hasn't it? Let's be fair. So the reality is here, it feels like I don't want to say it too loud, but it feels like a bit of a bull market where we get these little shakeouts. Now, I'm going to say one thing and one thing only. Earnings season. The big seven, and I will come on to the big seven in a minute, are going to do their earnings over the next week or two. And all of a sudden, this little AI thing from China just came out of nowhere, and it's a bit odd. Spooked the market massively. So we will talk about it. We will do some TA. Like always, give me some thought, and if you want me to do Q&A at the end, I will. And I think it's probably time we kind of stop talking and let's just start talking about what is actually happening with the market. Let me just make sure that all my stuff is working and you can see my screen. You can, which is good. I've also made my camera smaller on this screen so I'm not blocking half of the screen with my big fat head. So let's talk about the market. First things first, as I've alluded to it, you may have seen something called DeepSeek that appeared out of nowhere, right? Literally out of nowhere, a wrecking ball. And it's very interesting to note that. Let's talk about it. Because what this has done is it's made people doubt the Magnificent Seven, as we call them, AI, all that kind of stuff, right? So essentially, when we look at this, this is the main thing to highlight, that bit. Cost effectiveness while running on less advanced chips proposed by the US industry leaders. So basically, what's happening here, let's be honest, Nvidia, all these big companies are probably overpricing and overcharging investors to develop technology such as OpenAI, ChatGPT, obviously Nvidia, la 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 la. And you'll see why in a minute. Now, the reason why I say that is because DeepSeek is a Chinese version. It came out on Friday. It's now #1 in the US store. It's all over the place. And it's been done for like $6 to $10 million. What? So yeah, it's very, very interesting. Now, obviously, yes, it's from China. Yes, we have to look at certain things around China. And obviously, is it just going to steal and warp all our data? Maybe, who knows? Just be careful with it. So stuff like that is going to be very, very interesting. As you can see here, it sparked a bit of a sell-off. Now, funny enough, crypto's gone down, but so has the entire market, funny enough. And some AI stocks have gone down bad, badly bad. But let's talk about another reason, what I alluded to before. We have US rate decisions. FOMC, mentioned it last week. We also have earning season on some of the big boys. They are coming on, Wednesday. You got some on Thursday. We've got some next week. We also have other data such as personal income, spending, PCE, all that kind of stuff's happening. It's going to be an interesting week. And January is always an iffy period. Always is. Bit iffy. And we've also got stuff like Chinese New Year. We often forget about and stuff like that. So stuff happens, things go mad, need to be mindful. As I've alluded to it though, the reason why this fears, and you can see this here, Meta spending 60 billion to develop AI data centers and all that kind of stuff, whereas DeepSeek have basically stated for 6 million. It's a huge difference in certain situations. And as you can see in my tweet here, is it bad accounting? Who knows? Is it just a little bit of a sprinkle? Is it just a little bit of fear and FUD? Potentially, yes. It might be the biggest overreaction we've ever seen for a long, long time. And as I say, I talk about the Magnificent Seven. People talk about the Magnificent Seven bubble because it is a huge weight of the S&P 500. I don't know what the data is now, but it was roughly 29% not too long ago in terms of this information here. Might be out of date. It might be worse than that now. I don't know. But when you think the likes of Apple, Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla, they are a massive weight of that S&P 500. It might well lead to a bit of a wobble. So just be bloody mindful. But as I say, though, this is one big problem too, because a lot of these are down badly. Broadcom, for example, huge amounts dropped. Obviously, Nvidia, huge. There's some big boys here. So it's going to affect the markets in one way or another. The other thing that might have affected the market is the fact of Japan. Hello, Japan. How are you doing? Another rate hike. Now, if you remember, is it August time? They did a rate hike and it completely crashed the market completely like, whoa, something broke. It spooked a lot of things. It spooked me. And we are now into another one. So here we go. July it was. So this is interesting. It seems like the Japanese welcomed it a bit more. Whether this has spooked the market or not, I don't know. But that obviously brings us on to the obvious in the room. sorry. FOMC, rate hikes, rate cuts. What's happening here? Well, probably more likely going to be a rate cut. Whether we get a very, very hawkish approach from Powell in terms of the future, where we're going to go next, who knows? That could be interesting. But this could, if it's good news, it might well just bounce the market completely. However, if it's bad news, it may well lead to a further sell-off, which obviously leads us to a lot of things in terms of why things sell off in crypto. Firstly, we've got to look at the fact that, ultimately this is a tweet from Miles. We're at silly levels of retail kind of interest being on the floor. We've talked about altcoins. I know I'm pretty bearish-ish, but I like to look at comments on stuff like this. And above my head, you can see some comments. Actually, I'll probably make them a bit big. There we go. So I like to look at comments on stuff like this, especially like from a bigger creator than me. I like to see what people's opinion is. And let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Do you think we are not going to get an alt season or we're not going to get any retail push because people don't have any money? Now, I will openly admit, I think it's interesting, that dynamic, because in the past we've had that before. We've always had echoings of, ooh, recession, or ooh, it's expensive, obviously COVID and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes, but I think the biggest problem is how many altcoins we've got. There's too many of them. There's not enough liquidity. It's very select. It's a lot harder to do it, basically. And people are going for the obvious. Bitcoin, for example. Solana, for example. Meme coins, randomly, for an example. So it'd be interesting to know your thoughts, but you can see here, retailers out of money. We need more interest rate. Yeah, we could it's rough with this move, isn't it? It's odd because we could bring down lower interest rates. Could create a bit of instability, but it will allow people to have cheaper mortgages. It will allow people to do loans and do give and take in it. It's a weird one. So let me know what you think on that one. And as I've alluded to it, one big fat problem in crypto is the obvious. Liquidations happen every single time. Why? Because people get greedy. But we'll do the TA in a minute. But there's some echoings of, oh, this might pull back. Didn't expect it to pull back the entire market and everything crumble. And obviously, altcoins have really struggled. But ultimately, it's just, let me know. Do you think it's an overreaction? I do. Just going to put that point out there. I know people might, oh, but this is a bit clickbaity. The market has crashed. Where do we go next? I think we bounce, personally. I think we were due a correction. We were due there was a bit of hype. But the one thing that I want to say, and I want to make this kind of clear, things come out for a reason at certain points. It's very tactical, isn't it? That this is all of a sudden came out as the earnings are about to drop. So yeah, could well be really interesting to see where we go from here. But as I say, right, it's obvious that pricing power could well be under threat. Might mean more money goes into the crypto market. Maybe, who knows? It might go into gold. It might go into cash. It might make the dollar stronger. There's so many things, but we don't know what's going to happen yet, do we? Because we don't know the markets. They're not open yet. So we need to be mindful of that. Anyways, where are we? I'll look at the chat first. I'll look at the chat. Let's have a little look at the chat. Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. Smash the like button if you're not yet done so. 169 people here. Hello, everyone. God, it must be a busy morning. Great Monday, isn't it? Where are we all from? So, where are we at? I don't even know where I'm at. Hello, folks. Just going to buy top altcoins this year. BTC predicted to correct at 75. 75k, I think, is a bit of a stretch, but it's not impossible. That's all I'm going to say. How many people rushing to buy DeepSeek AI agent this month? Probably a lot. There's probably a lot of them. I think I'm pretty sure my Discord's already had a few in there already. So be mindful. Don't be silly. Try not to kill yourselves on low or stupid leverage or ultimately trying to chase pumps. I think I think the meme coin narrative's slowly like getting a bit harder to kind of gauge. And we saw a couple of runners last week, but it's actually been some obvious ones that I've just not ran at all like, over the last few days. Hello from Cambridge. Hello, Tony. Twickenham. Oof. Nice part of the world. Flew over that stadium a few times, but that was a long time ago. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where we go from here. But yeah, it is randomly a random market today. Good entry point into runes. I think runes are on the floor. Very risky, but I've always said with runes, it's risk less Bitcoin and more reward. So it kind of works out in my favor in that sense because I'd rather risk less Bitcoin in altcoins right now versus say runes, and I'd rather go for the speculative and hopefully get a home run somewhere because that means growing Bitcoin ultimately. Right, let's do some TA. Yeah, let's have a little gander. Let's see what's happening. What's happening? Range low, potentially. Right, so this is some TA I did before. This is, if you're wondering what this indicator, this is the Learning Crypto one, LC, Trend, and Momentum Pro. You can get it on Traders Lounge. If you're wondering, there's a link below. It's on this website. You can buy it. It's really cheap, affordable, and there's new updates coming. But it does some really good, cool stuff with RSI, which is good. Divergences, and you can also see the trend flow. Right? What's happened here is kind of a really high probability short, which we should have really went for realistically, which was retest of all-time high, which sometimes is a weird playbook to go for. When you back it up with some change of momentum, it's good. And obviously with the news and the hype, so yeah, should have probably been more open and honest with that one. Didn't catch it at all. To be honest with you, I've not really been asked about trading, to be honest with you. With over the last few weeks, with Donald Trump's coming in, I just thought, it's not really the month to do it. And I could back myself and say, well, we look at January in terms of how bad the market can be. It's very iffy, certainly for obviously, we're pulling back massively right now versus what we were. So yeah, where we are, potential range low here. Are we at, if this holds, sweet. If this is a range high, awesome. If this is a mid range in terms of where this Fibonacci is, nearly perfect. It would be awesome. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. The one thing that is scaring me a little bit is the fact that Ethereum is absolutely shit and it's just not doing anything. And that is probably one of the main reasons why altcoins are doing diddly squat right now. Obviously, Solana's had a bit of a pump, hello, and this is where we're at. Another rejection, deviation above all-time highs. Absolute zoomy down to the floors, not looking ideal. We're starting to get potentially below the 50% mark, which is often when I start looking at shorts, because normally you get like a retest of certain levels. You may well get a retest of this level, and we may well go lower and retest lower down anyways. Potentially, so just be mindful of that one. XRP, I know I often say it, but if you think about the XRP move and the Hydra hash graph move and stuff, dominance would be much higher right now. This has taken a lot of the weight off it, which is probably good and a blessing in disguise for a lot of people in altcoins. If you were holding XRP, not many people were holding XRP, I don't think, especially on my channel. But hey, it is what it is. Dominance, Bitcoin dominance. Where are we? Well, not looking good, bruv. Going higher, probably a good time to look at certain things, but ultimately, are we just capitulating right now? Are we at the bottom? Potentially. And I talk about, obviously, you've seen my ex and you've probably seen me talking about certain things, but ultimately what I say is this is interesting. This whole area, this whole range of the total 3/BTC is like, how low can we go? How low can some of these altcoins go? Like, it's ridiculous. Are we going to get an alt season? Probably at some point. But the problem is they're very short, sharp bursts, and they're much harder to gauge, and you've got to be more selective. And I know people don't want to hear that, and I know people are on following other YouTubers going, buy this, buy this, buy this. But at the end of the day, like, not many of them have performed, and this is why I'm so fortunate I've been heavy in Bitcoin and I'm focusing more on the Bitcoin ecosystem. Because ultimately, if I was playing this cycle like I was last cycle, I'd be fucking destroyed right now. I would be. I was nowhere near as heavy in Bitcoin last cycle, and I made loads of BTC from it. This cycle's different, and I've said that before many times, and people do disagree, and I understand why you would. And as I say, it also feels like a capitulation. Look at Polkadot. It's like 571. What the fucking fuck is happening here? That is just mental. And that's what I mean. These short, sharp bursts, you've got to be careful with these BTC pairs because you're going to get rewarded at some point if you can time it. But not many people time it. Like up here, you'd be like, oh, we're going to the moon. Doesn't happen. ADA, exactly the same situation where we could, if this level is lost on here, 900 sats, and we melt, that could go right down to some stupid levels. So as much as we've got the other way around where there's big gaps from the past 2 years, you've got these gaps in the present right now. So we have to be very, very, very mindful of that, and that could lead to a lot of things. And as I say, right, the Ethereum side of the market performance on the cycle low is fucking awful. No offense to anyone, but back in Ethereum is rough. And as I say, it feels like a capitulation event, doesn't it? It feels like we're going to get that shakeout that's going to break the camel's back. People give up, and then all of a sudden, everything just goes bang. And I want that to happen. Don't get me wrong, I do. I don't want to be bearish on altcoins. I don't want to be. But at the end of the day, the data is telling us a couple of things here. Like we're at 100K BTC, right? Let's be honest. Retail interest is on the knees. Is it just because people got absolutely battered and obliviated by blooming FTX and UST last cycle and people are just giving up? It's really interesting. And as well, other news coming out is about Coinbase not listing certain things because the listing criteria, they're going to change it because there's too many altcoins. It's like, wow, this is mad. But anyways, I'll go back to the chat. Hello, chat. Hello, I'm back. So where we got? So Milton Keynes. I've been in and around Milton Keynes. I used to live near there. February bull run. Now that's the thing. We talk about capitulation and we talk about all that situation around it. What's interesting is February and March is a much, much, much better situation. So hey, it might well be the shakeout before it rips up higher. And I've got a feeling it is. I do. I feel like the market is majorly overreacted here, and I think people need to kind of see that for what it is. But doesn't mean we're going to go lower. You know, we've got to look at the fact that Bitcoin went to 108K. We're now at 100K, 98, 99K, whatever, right? We could easily drop a good 20%, and that would be a normal average correction, and everything's ticky boo for Bitcoin, right? But ultimately, that could get worse for other things. So we need to be very, very mindful of that. So situations around it is, well, buy the trend, buy what's good, what looks great. You know, situation around it. 90% of the top of the money is in the top 100. I wouldn't even say top 100. I'd say top 40. Honestly, like the top, some of them are rough right now, like really struggling right now to stay above water. And I think, was it Runes coin, 4chain? Is that gone? Is that insolvent or something like, you know, stuff like that could happen very, very easily. So got to be mindful of it. Why would anyone buy Ethereum when they can buy Solana? That's another great point. Or why would anyone want to use it and then use Base, for example, as well? That's another situation. So when we look at Ethereum, it's just not great, is it? Like there's, as I said before in previous lives, you probably remember it. There's so many reasons you can pinpoint going back in history of why it's not doing as well. You got the fee change, you got certain, you know, competition now. It's just wild when you think about it, but it is what it is. If you're not yet done so, please do like the video. I muchly appreciate it. If you are interested in more videos from me, I know I do live streams every day now, but I do more on Patreon. It's 50% off for the first month if you're interested. Good alpha in the Discord as well. Literally, absolutely crazy. Apologies for the dog barking again. Honestly, need to put her in the shed. Brought a small amount of Dot earlier. Couldn't resist. Yeah, I mean, Dot's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, as much as I love, you know, technology, and I want technology to do very well, I just don't think people are interested. It's just the way it is. You know, Dot's going back down to $5 in my opinion, in and around this area. That's not looking great, is it? I know it's bearish. It's just the way it is. With the likes of BTC pair, alluded to before, probably going to go back down to all-time lows. It's just not looking great. And even with Dot, right, even before all of this happened, it was still hurtling and losing pace versus everything else. And I know it's bearish, but, you know, BNB, another one. Why? No retails here, obviously. AVAX, another one. Ugh, looking horrible. Cardano, holding, but not as, you know, not as much as we'd like. Obviously, it had a big run. So it's not in isolation. This is not just a Polkadot problem. This is an altcoin problem. This is the whole of the altcoins. And the reason being, people want memes. People want the quick cash. It's there on other chains, obviously. You know, even Stacks. I love Stacks. I love the Bitcoin ecosystem. That's just melting. It's just dying. Why? People are just not interested at the minute. That's the question at the minute. What is going to be the spark to get this moving? What is going to make retail investors fly into this market? We don't know. Are people too heavy on the meme coins? Are they just meme coin orientated? Are they looking for the quick riches? Or are they just, I'm in Bitcoin, I've made a lot of money in Bitcoin, I don't want to sell my Bitcoin because that's made me money. That could be a situation as well. It's so many factors. It's absolutely wild. And it does feel different to last cycle. It does. And people can't get away from that. The data's there. I've showed you in previous live streams. Feel free to subscribe so you don't miss or go and watch them. I talk about how Ethereum looked in the last cycle. It looked nothing like what it does today. The altcoins look nothing like they do today. Even Dogecoin. I mean, it's a big, big rally, and it's just dying. Like, look at this level here. That could really melt a horrible amount. So yeah, it's certainly feels like the altcoin capitulation, but ultimately the altcoins have been capitulating for over 2-3 years now. Normally you get a big breather, but we haven't had much. We've had small little breathers, about 2 or 3 weeks of running, and that's it. And as I said before, if you remove XRP out of this and XLM and those pumps that we've had where the dominance of these have went up and shot to the moon, which they did, as you can see, we're at 1% up to like 4 or 5%. Bitcoin dominance would be about 65, 66% right now, which is mad. So that's history, though. That does show that we do that in the past. And I've said it before. You're looking for that capitulation phase where we have a big, massive moon and everything just rotates and then all of a sudden, bang. But we need to get the event to happen. I don't see where, at the minute, where everything moons. Some things will moon, don't get me wrong. But we're not going to get everything. There's too many altcoins, far too many altcoins. And that's just my overall bias on it. And I think people hate that. I think people hate knowing that. But hey, could be huge. Could be huge in terms of where we go, though. But I think picking the select obvious ones might well do very, very, very well. But as I say, people are trying to find the meme coin that's going to make them rich. But ultimately, the problem with that is how many of them can rotate them riches and then they go straight out of the market. It's mad. So many of them do it. There's far too much out there. You're putting too much water in your orange juice at the minute, and that's what it feels like. What else we got in the questions? Let's have a butcher's. Hello, everyone. I'm on the big screen again. Aha! Also, what else was I going to say? I've forgotten now. It's gone. It's gone off my head. Oh, actually, let's have a look at this poll. What's the poll saying? Wow, it's 50-50, literally. 49 yes, go lower. 51% no. Whoa. All right. Sit on the fence, lads and lasses. To be honest with you, I think we're going to go. I've got a feeling this is an overreaction, personally. But that's just, I've seen it before. I've seen this sort of player before where we wake up and say, oh my God, what's happened? And all of a sudden by Wednesday, Thursday. However, I take that back a little bit because we've got FOMC. If FOMC is going to be hawkish as fuck, it's going to really trouble the market a little bit, I think. So we need to be mindful of that. Phantom wallet is quality. It is. I mean, when we talk about onboarding and other wallets and stuff, Phantom wallet is destroying Ethereum. It really is. And obviously you got Magic Eden as well. Magic Eden just as easy to use. So it's just wow. And there's other wallets too. Buy Ethereum cause. Why do you think Donald Trump is loading up Ethereum? Yeah, that's an interesting point because I looked at Donald Trump's portfolio and I kind of went, I'm really confused because you got Wrapped BTC, you got obviously Ethereum, you got Tron, you got Chainlink and whatever else it is. I can't remember off the top of my head now. And I think it's very, very heavy Ethereum led. And I think to myself, well, why don't you just buy Bitcoin instead? Or like buy Ethereum then, but buy actual Bitcoin instead of Wrapped Bitcoin. And I understand why DeFi on Ethereum. And that is a really good narrative to have. But normally with DeFi, you need the obvious, which is money, rotation, altcoin magic, and retail interest. Because when people have profits, they want to then grow it, and DeFi allows that. We haven't got that yet, which is a bit of a problem. So that could be interesting. I've got really itchy nose. Meme coin sucking up liquidity. Yes. BTC being held, waiting for 1 million. Yeah. I think that's an interesting point in terms of price targets for Bitcoin. I think they're not going to go anywhere near as high as 1 million because I think people are expecting it. But at the same time, though, I think $200,000, $300,000. And imagine if that happened and an altcoin just didn't move at all. It would be absolutely mad. It would be huge. What else have we got? Altcoins very disappointing. Yes, 100%. Oh, I've just missed a question there. There are 1,000 more altcoins to invest in cycles. And the last one, I don't think the traditional altcoin. Yeah, I agree. I think people are finally getting open to it. But at the same time, it just depends on how much money is going to rotate through. You got to remember Bitcoin has a lot of wealth. So if a lot of Bitcoin rotates through, that's going to help. But what about the traditional markets? What if we get echoings of a potential recession and people go, well, let's just go into crypto? That could be an interesting play, but unlikely. I think personally, it's very much going to be Bitcoin led, and it already has shown that. And I know people hate that, but at the end of the day, cryptocurrency, a lot of it is shit. It is like a lot of the assets that we know and love. Like the reason why you like them sometimes is because they are very much out of left field. It's like, oh hello. Whereas the obvious are very, very obvious, and you've got to remember those. And those ones will create a lot of wealth eventually when they get actual mainstream. But some of the ones that we see all the time, some of them are garbage. So you got a question as well, right? What needs a token? Oh, not everything does it. Let's be honest here, it doesn't. Maybe alt season starts now because yeah, I think there will be an alt season, but I think it won't be like last cycles. As I said before, I think it'll be few and far between, little select rushes, and it'll be interesting certain things because of something big happening. Whereas me and Gaz mentioned it on Learning Crypto YouTube on last Tuesday. You back in the day, what you'd do is you'd literally you'd update weirdly, you'd update the website, you'd update the white paper, and they would pump, they would go bang. But nothing, nothing at all now. You could have some of the best news ever, and it just doesn't move. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. What else we got? Watch Camel earlier. He reckons it's no reaction. Yeah, it seems like an overreaction at the minute. It might not be though. That's the thing. It might not be. It might well be the lead up to FOMC, and if it's a bad FOMC, we might well drop. So I don't want to be on the fence too much, but we've got to remember FOMC is a big event this week. You know, you got to remember December, Jerome Powell came out very, very hawkish. Oh, we're probably not going to do as many rate cuts. Obviously, now there's a new president. What about if Trump's going, I want interest rates lower? We need to work on interest rates. It's too high. We need to encourage spending, whatever. We need to get inflation also down. Inflation might well be going up a little bit here. It's one of those. It's a very, very, very precarious position. No question. Just want to just want to say you act like someone I enjoy having a drink, play cards with. I mean, I'd have a Coke, but I don't drink anymore, to be honest with you. I've totally given up drinking. If you don't know this, weirdly, right? I for years, and ever since I was like, 16, 17, 18, I'd like get really bad cramps with like if I drank beer. Like, oh, that's rough that. And turns out I can't digest yeast. So I have a yeast intolerance. Yay! So yeah, that's fun. So yeah, I can't have yeast. I can have it in small amounts, but beer and lager, honestly, I'd have like a pint of something. You know, when you're like younger and you give us a pint of Foster's or something shite or Carlin, and then I'd honestly be in bits the next day. I was like, what is wrong with me? What's my thoughts on Casper? Nah, don't like it. There's a lot of people in my, well, I would say there's one person in my Discord that loves Casper, and we love to rinse him every single day because of it, because it's quite funny. It's funny to rinse people when their investments are like, oh God. Anyone got any more questions, queries, thoughts? Want me to talk about stuff? The one thing that is interesting, I've not really talked about it much, is the dollar. The dollar is dropping, I wouldn't say significantly, but it is dropping enough to make me a little bit more excited. But ultimately, we've got to look at other situations now. Technical analysis wise, the S&P 500 has hit a new all-time high, and then it absolutely flew off the building again. The Russell, I've not got an updated chart of this. I don't know what the futures one is. Actually, I can't be arsed looking, but this is probably going to be nuked. Let's be honest here. The VIX is flying up because of the volatility, and yeah, Bitcoin miners were looking great, but now they're going to look like, oh, well, terrible. I'm hoping these pre-markets do jump up a bit on the Bitcoin miners. If anyone is interested in miners, they are pretty awesome, but all very volatile. My ISA, do you want to have a little look at my ISA? Ooh, it's down a little bit over the last few days, so I was looking to take some profit as well. There's my ISA. You can follow that on Patreon if you are interested. But yeah, we'll wait and see what the pre-market does. I'm hoping some of these bounce up. Some of them are not moved enough for me, but some of them have. Like Hut 8, for example, I'm up quite a lot. I really want this to go back up a little bit. I was literally looking at taking profit at $30. Ugh, I missed it here because I'm an idiot. Nearly here, but I want to take something off the table. I'm up like 120%-ish. Can't remember, top of my head. Enough, anyways. But hey, it is what it is. A pint of Jack Daniels. Oh God, I think everyone needs a pint of Jack Daniels at this rate. Christ. What's funny, right? I often compare it to 2017, and 2017, you used to wake up on days like this, and you used to think, why is the market just nuked? And it does. It back in those days, it was very, very volatile, but it wasn't as liquid. Obviously, now it's a lot more liquid. So when it does happen, it really is a cascading effect. And obviously, when we talk about liquidations, 850 million worth of cryptocurrency trades have been liquidated. Oops, it's just the way it is, isn't it? Absolutely, that's like mental amounts of money. Like, why is it? Why does crypto always have this leverage? Why? Why does it always happen? But hey, it is what it is. Leave a like if you've not yet done so. There's only 48 of you. Come on, like the video. There's 213 people watching. 238 actually. It's probably a record since I've been doing my live streams actually, because I've been slowly building up. It's getting more and more people, more and more interest, routine, all that kind of good stuff. It's great. What are my thoughts on Algo? Algo's good. I like the tech. I like the app. Pera Wallet's brilliant, but there's just no users. It's the same situation. It's like everyone's going to the really nice bar, which is called Solana right now. It's like that. You got to think of crypto, right? Cryptocurrency is all about attention, isn't it, right? So when we talk about, say, crypto, I know this is going to sound really, I like to put things in real life terms, right? Where I live, you can probably tell where I live, roughly where I live. Not the greatest football team in the world, I know. But when we talk about like culture and hype and all that kind of stuff, right? And we talk about market corrections, right? That's fine. But when we talk about altcoins, Algorand, right? It's fast. It's got a really good team behind it. A really good team. It's really, really, really cheap. And it works very well, but it just doesn't have any users. So it's like the real nice posh bar you see. But people want to go into the one that kind of has the broken windows, or the design half fallen out, because I know it's good and it's going to work. That is like Solana. Remember when Solana couldn't tell the time, and remember when Solana would crash on every opportunity? That is like that. It's so wild, and it's so mad to think that. But yeah, it's just a real life analogy. It's like, where do people flock to? Well, where do they like to go? Well, there. It's like, okay, makes sense. 120k to 125 BTC is still in play for Q1. Yeah, I just think I think it's a massive, massive overreaction in the market personally. But that doesn't mean that altcoins are going to fly because it's an overreaction. The problem you have is if Bitcoin has a really big, strong bounce from here, which it definitely could, are altcoins going to go lower? That's the ultimate question. Say if Bitcoin gets above 100k, 105k again, and just goes boink, possibly range low, who knows? Bounce as normal. Market's open. It's an overreaction. The question is, where do altcoins go? Because altcoins are really, really suffering. Obviously, Bitcoin's down 3.67% today. Altcoins down a lot. Obviously, BTC dominance is showcasing that. It's up nearly, 0.66%, well, 0.66%. Huge. The reality is, though, where do altcoins go from here? Where's the money going to go to? Like, oh shit. That's just the top and bottom of it. That's where it gets worrying. Obviously, yes, you've seen, the futures market. Obviously, you see NVIDIA here. What's NVIDIA? Oh my God, it's 125. It's down 11.77% currently pre-market. I know you can't see that because of my head, but hold on. There you go. You can see it now. That is pretty rough. Obviously, earnings as well happening this week, so that could be very, very fun. But hey, as I've alluded to it though, just enjoy the market for what it is realistically. Any tips for off on or off? I use Swissborg personally. I've used Swissborg since 2021. I've never really deviated away from that. I tried somewhere else last cycle, and it took 5 days to get my money. I nearly had a heart attack. So yeah, I always use Swissborg, to be fair. Thought on ASI talk? I have no idea, to be honest with you. AI in general might well be a bit of a bubble pop now. It might have, like, the cat might be out of the bag now with it, realistically, with the cost. That obviously it might well be a market employ to say, oh, it only costed 8 million to make this, or 10 million to make this DeepSeek thing, but the cat might be out of the bag in that situation with costs, and the AI narrative may well not be as expensive as people are led to believe. You're right about leverage. Too many people playing with leverage. Yeah, I mean, as much as I recommend, the likes of Blowfin, which is open in the UK, feel free to jump in. But you can use it for spot. You don't have to go leverage. Just buy at market opportunity. If you want to play with leverage, you should only do it because you want to go short and you're using low leverage. If you know what you're doing, it's actually fine. But people just don't, and honestly, it blows my mind that people just go, I want to put all my money at that leverage on that and just get blown up. Just doesn't make sense in my. I just don't get it. I've seen so many people that do it, and they do it on like silly things like Bitcoin on 100x. Why? If that moves 1%, you are cooked, gone. Why do it? So yeah, you've got to be so careful with it. But everyone's different, you know. I don't mind it, but people are silly. In what phase of the bull run are we in now? It's kind of hard to kind of quantify, really. I think we're getting towards belief, but people don't believe that. I understand why people may not believe that. It's just could be very, very interesting to see where we go from here. But when you look at Bitcoin, it looks fine, doesn't it? Let's be honest, like Bitcoin's still in a roaring uptrend. It's just altcoins. You've got to have essentially. Hold on, let me go to the chart. Where's MicroStrategy? The only reason why because I've got the actual chart on it. Oh, that's a bit rough. There we go. The cheat sheet. There we go. So you've got two. Let's be honest. You've got altcoins which look like disbelief or depression, and then or anger, and then you've got Bitcoin that looks totally different, right? Obviously, this is MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy had it blow. Look, perfect. Blow off top. We're now. I think we're at complacency. This is going to nuke. I think Camel Finance did the exact same thing. It makes sense because this has done like a 10x in like a matter of a year. And people are like, oh, but MicroStrategy is going to go to 1,000. It's a money. It's an unlimited money. No, it's not unlimited money. Let's catch out the back. So when we look at Bitcoin, I think we're at belief. We're going to go for that big, massive run because we've been doing it for quite a while. Whereas altcoins, we're down here. We're like, look, we're way behind, and it may not happen. And you know, some of the miners as well. Some of the miners are like already at the belief and thrill stage, but some of them are not. It's like, wow, what the hell's happening? So yeah, it's very, very odd. Even the, as I say, Bitcoin miners and stuff, crazy amounts of differences in the market realistically. What else have we got before I run away? Bye with the later the party greatly live streams. We'll be seeing the biggest run ever this year. I appreciate your thoughts. I think we're going to get the biggest volume bull run ever because of the institutions, but that doesn't mean it's going to spread to altcoins. I mean, what if, yeah, we could get a lot of ETFs, fair enough, whatever, but it'd be few and far between. And do they actually trust them? Do they trust them? Like, you know, Ethereum ETF hasn't done as well. You know, Bitcoin's there and working for a reason. They like that. It makes sense. Whereas Ethereum, they may not like that. That's the top and bottom of it. That could be where it gets very, very interesting. So wouldn't you be very, very mindful of that one too? What else we got? Where in the bull run would you say? I've already kind of answered that one to be fair, in terms of where we think we are. But anyways, I think I'm gonna shoot. I appreciate everyone that's turned up. It's nice to see you. I think it's my most views actually today in terms of a live stream, which is nice to see. But just be mindful. Don't over leverage. Don't overplay. Don't be silly with your money because it is a very, very precarious position right now. I think we're in a very, very weird position, but it feels like normal market spookage. Personal opinion.